Let's now look at that plan to have an annual Wangari Maathai marathon to be unveiled by King Charles III during his first visit as monarch this week. The inaugural marathon is set for the 3rd of March 2024. This comes as the Chief Executive Officer of the Wangari Maathai Foundation, Jerry Kabeberi, calls on leaders across the world to emulate the vision and philosophy of the late professor for the good of the human race. Here is Sarafina Robi with the feature, The Unbowed Spirit.
Since the passing of the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Professor Wangari Maathai, on the 25th of September 2011, due to cancer-related complications, those who interacted with her are still at awe 12 years later, describing her relentless spirit.
I feel like she lived totally. She lived her whole self. She didn't leave anything that she could have done that she didn't do. Of course, we miss her and we wish she had lived longer. But when you look at her legacy, it is a legacy. I don't know anyone in the world who has lived such a legacy, despite only having lived it for 72 years. And you would find her with release of political prisoners. You'd find her during the civil strife in Kenya, going around preaching peace. You'd find her with women, trying to promote women leaders. You'd find her as a politician, and you'd find her as an environmentalist.
The CEO of the Wangari Maathai Foundation, Jerry Kabeberi, highlights the late professor's struggle to protect the world's forests.
We're going to shed blood because of our land. We will. We are used to that. Our forefathers shed blood for our land. We will do so. This is my blood, and it reminds me of the blood that Wayaki shed trying to protect Karura Forest.
And what kept shocking me is Wangari would be beaten, brutalized, hospitalized, and she would come back to the struggle. It moved from Freedom Corner to the All Saints Cathedral at some point, but she would come back. She would be hospitalized and come back. I had never come across that kind of person and that kind of courage and that kind of determination. So she was somebody, if she set her mind on something, until it is accomplished, she would not walk away. So I never saw her walk away from any action that she had ever started. She understood that man could not be put on earth before everything else was there, because how would he live? But we don't understand that, and we didn't understand that. So Karura, the fight for Karura is a fight for humanity. The fight for forests continues to be the fight for humanity. She got beaten, she got hospitalized, she got imprisoned. Everything bad that could happen to her happened.
Professor Wangari Maathai is known to have started the Green Belt movement in 1977 under the auspices of the National Council of Women of Kenya to respond to the needs of rural Kenyan women who reported that rivers and streams within their areas were drying up. Their food supply was getting insecure day after day, among other complaints, due to the changing climate conditions. Years later, after her death, this will culminate in the Wangari Maathai Foundation.
The foundation was started in 2015, registered as a foundation. We are not just doing environment work. We want everybody to understand who she was, and therefore we are starting with young people. We have a project, in fact our flagship program is on young people. From the age of 6 up to the age of 35, we have 4 different programs that we do. And when we start with the 6-year-olds, we have a project called Hummingbird, the Hummingbird Leadership Program, where we want them to understand exactly Professor Wangari's philosophy. And with all 4 programs, we talk about her courageous and responsible leadership. It's not enough to have courage if you're not a responsible leader.
King Charles III, who is visiting the country for the first time since ascending to the throne, is expected to honor the efforts of the late Professor Wangari by officiating at the unveiling of a plan to hold annual marathon in her honor with the inaugural event slated for the 3rd of March 2024.
We want to launch it next week, and we are going to have it on 3rd of March 2024, which is the Wangari Maathai Day. Wangari Maathai Day was also Africa Environment Day, but they devoted it to the name Wangari Maathai. So Africa Environment Day today is called Wangari Maathai Day. So we want to have a marathon, the first Wangari Maathai marathon on that day, and then we want to be having these marathons every year. The theme of the marathon is the power of one. Wangari believed so much that in the power of one, and she also believed in something she called your little thing. That if you do your little thing, you become powerful.
Philip Wamihiu, a forester with over 42 years experience and who also interacted with Professor Wangari, talks of the need for the country to ensure sustainability of Professor Wangari's legacy.
There has been a serious degradation, particularly in what we call the water towers. There are 5 major water towers in this country: Mount Kenya, Aberdares, Mount Elgon. There is also Mau, which is a huge ecosystem, and also Sherengani. And all those requires to be rehabilitated or restored, because if they are not, then the biodiversity and water catchment areas will shrink.
Professor Wangari Maathai won the Nobel Peace Prize on the 8th of October 2004 in recognition of her contribution to sustainable development, democracy and peace, becoming the first African woman to win the coveted award.
Us to stand up for what we believe in.
Professor Wangari has 3 children, 2 daughters, Wanjira Maathai, Muta Maathai, and 1 son, Waweru Maathai. Her daughter continues with her legacy through different environmental initiatives.
Activists around the world, whatever it is you are holding on to, if you could have that kind of determination, if you could read her book like Sarafina here has, and then have that kind of determination that she had, I think the world would be a different place. Because each of us, I said earlier, each of us has a purpose in this life. And if we could all live our purpose with that level of determination, the world would definitely be a different place.
Professor Wangari's dedication and passion in environmental issues through initiatives such as the Green Belt movement continues to inspire generations on the need for environment sustainability. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.